The chair recognizes the small businessman from Texas, Mr. Williams, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Silverman, in full disclosure, you need to know I'm a car dealer, so you know how I feel about you and your committee. Okay.
I remember.
All right.
I remember from the last time I was here.
So let's
Congressman
move on.
Williams.
All right. First of all, you keep saying that you've done careful work, but if I heard you correctly when you talked to the chairman earlier, that you've never visited a store. Now, how can you claim to understand the market or a business if you've never visited it before?
So, Congressman,
Make it short, because I got a lot of questions.
I have met with many store operators.
Okay.
My staff has visited many stores. We, as a bureau, actually happened not to be. We had a consumer advisory board meeting last summer where the entire consumer advisory board, including the director,
You went on a field trip.
went to visit a store.
I did that in the 6th grade. Now, I get it. Okay. Now, the other thing is, you talked about scholars have helped you make these decisions. What the heck is a scholar on payday lending? Who is that person?
There are
Someone like you that's never been there?
There are many economists who have studied this industry, some funded by industry to do research, some funded by consumer advocates to do research. Okay. We've read some with independent. We've read all of their research.
I got it. Okay, let me move on. Section 1022 of the Dodd-Frank Act under Standards for Rulemaking reads, the Bureau shall consider the potential benefits and cost to consumers and covered persons, including the potential reduction of access by consumers to consumer financial products or services resulting from such a rule. And in fact, Mr. Silverman, the Bureau has explicit authority under 1022 to exempt any class of covered persons, service providers of consumer financial products or services from the requirements of statutes or implementing regulations that you're implementing, okay? In fact, I must tell you, I'm proud, along with others, to have offered legislation last year would help strengthen that exemption. So my question is straightforward. Do you believe the CFPB has used Section 1022 exemption adequately?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has the CFPB taken into account the impact of all these new regulations have on financial institutions like community banks, credit unions, and auto dealers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about studies that show how these rules, like the upcoming payday rule, how they affect the service these institutions are able to give their customers? Have you looked at those studies and seen that customers, the very people you're trying to save, you are hurting? Do you understand that?
So, Congressman, we have carefully evaluated the practices in the industry, the effects on consumers of what happens to consumers when you make loans without assessing whether they're affordable, without assessing their ability to repay, and done our best to project the consequences of the proposals that we're considering. We continue to receive feedback and think about that and refine our thinking based on what we're learning.
Okay, question to you. Do you and the Bureau, do you know better than the individual people making the loans? I mean, are you just smarter than they are?
Congressman, we believe that the people making the loans have the capacity and should exercise the capacity to assess whether the consumers have the ability to repay those loans.
Okay, but are you just smarter than they are?
No, as I'm saying, we are trying to...
You're advising them.
We are, actually, I would say, obligating them to, before making a loan, to assess whether the consumer has the ability to repay. We have complete confidence that's something that can be done efficiently, effectively, and will produce a better world for consumers.
You'll help make a better deal for them.
We're not, as I've indicated, we're not trying to negotiate affect the price of the product.
Well, let me just say this to you. I'm a business guy, and let me tell you, government, I'm telling you, government doesn't create a good deal like you think you're helping your customer. It just doesn't happen. You know who makes a good deal? It's competition. It's reputation. It's the private sector makes the deal. And the strength of the economy and the ability to realize what we all talk about, the American dream, is not delivered by you. Okay? It's delivered by the people that you actually are hurting. You know, I would tell them, trust the people, trust yourself. Don't trust the Bureau, don't trust the government, you see. So all I'm saying to you is, I can tell you, because I'm living this dream 24/7 in my industry, it'd be great if you'd back off a little bit and realize that consumers actually know better, and the private sector can create the competition, create the reputation that will fix these problems without you all even being involved. So I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman.